still think Drake a fuck. As a man, no, I'm keeping a blood raw. I still think Drake a fuck.
You are as guilty as they are because you were an essential part of that crime.
That statement is now raising serious questions after new developments in the XXXTentacion case, especially with new talk online about someone involved possibly speaking out after their release. The speculation is moving fast, and people are starting to wonder if unexpected names could suddenly enter the conversation. That alone got everybody talking. Even now, nearly 8 years after XXXTentacion's passing in broad daylight outside a Florida motorcycle dealership, the situation is still creating noise online. And here we are in April 2026, with discussions getting louder again across social media platforms. Robert Allen, the cooperating co-defendant, the one who accepted a plea deal and testified, was released from a Florida prison back in late 2023. After serving a reduced sentence, he returned home quietly and has been under supervised conditions since then. But now in 2026, it feels like people are acting like this just happened yesterday. Suddenly, there's a wave of claims suggesting he's ready to start speaking publicly and revealing more details. But before things get out of control, let's focus on what's actually confirmed. On June 18, 2018, XXXTentacion was fatally shot during a robbery outside a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach, Florida. The 20-year-old artist, whose real name was Jesse Onfroy, had just withdrawn a large amount of cash from a bank before heading to the location. As he was leaving with a friend, his BMW i8 was blocked by another vehicle. Two armed individuals approached the driver's side, and after a brief struggle, multiple shots were fired. The attackers then took a bag containing cash and other items before leaving the scene. The entire incident was captured on surveillance footage, and investigators later connected the suspects through phone records, location data, and online activity that surfaced shortly after the crime. 4 individuals were charged in connection with the case.
This murder occurred on June 18, 2018, outside of Riva Motorsports. It's a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach.
Dedrick Williams, Michael Boatwright, Trayvon Newsom, and Robert Allen. In early 2023, 3 of them went to trial, which lasted several weeks and included extensive jury deliberations. All 3 were found guilty of serious charges and received life sentences, ensuring they will remain in custody long-term. Boatwright, identified as the main shooter, received multiple life sentences along with additional time. Robert Allen, however, took a different path. He agreed to cooperate, pleaded guilty to reduced charges, and testified during the trial in May 2023. He received a shorter sentence and, after time already served, was released later that year with supervised conditions. Now in April 2026, nearly 3 years after his release, social media is suddenly filled with claims that he's beginning to speak out again. Some online posts are even suggesting certain high-profile names are being mentioned, creating even more attention and speculation around the situation. The thumbnail's going crazy right now. You got images showing Drake looking stressed, X looking intense, and Robert Allen placed right in the middle like he's holding some hidden truth. And the titles, even wilder. They're pushing claims about money being passed around.
What's the situation between you and Drake? Do you guys have beef?
I still think Drake a fuck. As a man, no, I'm keeping a blood raw. I still think Drake a fuck.
People being hired, and a major rap star supposedly being tied to one of the most shocking moments in hip-hop. But here's the reality. None of that is true. Let's break it down clearly, based on what Robert Allen actually said, both during the trial and after his release. During the 2023 trial, Allen took the stand under oath on multiple days in February, and when he was directly asked about Drake, about any alleged connections, or whether anyone was paid to carry out the incident, he shut it all down immediately. He clearly stated that Drake, or anyone linked to him, had absolutely nothing to do with what happened. According to Allen's testimony, the situation was a robbery, planned in the moment, not some coordinated setup. He explained that the group noticed the vehicle, realized there was cash involved, and made a decision right there. It wasn't some big industry plot. It was a reckless and tragic situation. And since his release in late 2023, silence. Robert Allen hasn't done interviews, hasn't posted about it, hasn't gone on podcasts, and hasn't made any public statements about Drake or anything related to that topic. By all accounts, he stayed completely quiet, focused on his own life, and hasn't added anything new since his testimony, where he already made it clear that Drake was not involved. So where did all this speculation even come from? To understand that, you gotta go back to 2017. That's when things first started building.
Let him hop on the remix, take 100% royalty rate. I would've done it.
At the time, XXXTentacion was a rising artist out of Florida, gaining attention fast with a bold personality and a unique sound. Around March 2017, Drake released his project More Life, which included a track called KMT featuring UK artist Giggs. Fans quickly noticed similarities between Drake's flow on that track and the style XXXTentacion had already been using, especially on his breakout song, Look at Me, which dropped in 2015. The rhythm, the delivery, the pacing, it all sparked conversations online. People started comparing both songs side by side, questioning whether inspiration crossed into imitation. Meanwhile, XXXTentacion was dealing with legal issues at the time and was not free when More Life dropped. But fans were already messaging him, bringing up the comparisons and asking for his reaction. Then, on March 27, 2017, once he was released, he didn't stay quiet about it. He addressed the situation almost immediately, and that moment right there is where everything really started to build into something much bigger. He sat down for his first major interview after getting out, live on Miami's 103.5 The Beat, and when the host brought up Drake, he didn't hold back at all. At first, he showed respect, calling Drake a genius and even saying he was one of the greatest to do it. But then, the tone shifted real quick. He started explaining how things played out behind the scenes. According to him, Drake had reached out through people in the industry, through a DJ and a manager, saying he was interested in working together. X said Drake had seen his interviews and was supposedly talking about linking up directly. But here's where things turned.
Remember this, Drake said he did not know who I was. He said he had no clue who I was.
X claimed that the direct contact never actually happened. No call, no message, no follow-through. And while he was still dealing with serious legal issues at the time, Drake dropped KMT, and that's when X felt like something wasn't right. He believed the flow sounded way too familiar, and to him, it didn't feel like coincidence. He said if Drake had shown real respect and pulled up in support during that difficult moment, he would have even allowed him on a remix of Look at Me and given him full royalties. That statement alone had people shocked. That interview spread everywhere instantly. It turned the situation into more than just music. It became about respect, timing, and how artists move behind the scenes. And from that point, things escalated fast. X started going hard on social media. He posted edited images, made bold jokes, and crossed lines that people in the industry usually avoid, especially when it comes to family topics. It got messy, and it got very public. Drake, on the other hand, stayed more controlled. In a 2017 interview, he addressed the comparisons, saying he understood why people noticed similarities in the opening bars of KMT, whether it was the rhythm or the delivery. But he denied copying anyone and said that when he created the track, he wasn't even familiar with X at that time. X didn't agree with that at all. From a call while he was still in custody, he directly pushed back on that claim, making it clear he didn't believe it, and that tension just kept building. Then came February 2018, and this is where everything really changed. X posted a message on Instagram that quickly caught everyone's attention. The post suggested that if anything ever happened to him, a certain well-known figure should be looked at. That message didn't stay up long.
I want to say this right now. I want to say this on this video. I apologize to Drake for coming for his mom. I apologize because talking about his mom was wrong. I needed to do that. I needed to do that so they could take me seriously.
It was deleted within hours. Shortly after, he went live saying his account had been accessed without permission and that he didn't want any problems. He even apologized and tried to calm things down, later brushing it off like it wasn't serious. But the internet never lets anything go. Screenshots of that post spread everywhere. People saved it, shared it, and kept bringing it back up again and again. Then just a few months later, in June 2018, when the tragic news about X broke, that old post came rushing back into the spotlight. Suddenly, people online started connecting things, pointing to timing, music releases, and anything they could line up. One of the main things they brought up was Drake's track, I'm Upset, which had dropped shortly before everything happened, adding even more fuel to the online discussions. Just weeks before everything happened, people started digging into certain lyrics and trying to connect dots. Lines like references to SMS XXX and other bars were being pulled apart online, with fans claiming they were subtle shots tied to X's name and the situation around him at the time. Some even pointed to mentions of money amounts and tried to link them to what happened later. But here's what often gets overlooked. In the months before his passing, X actually showed signs of growth. In a rare and honest moment, he addressed how far things had gone and even apologized for bringing Drake's family into the situation. That was a big shift in tone. He explained that what started as a disagreement between artists had gone too far. He admitted that involving family crossed a line, even if he still felt strongly about the music side of things. He even said,
Genuinely, if I had the opportunity to speak to bro, I would tell him, I apologize. I would have been apologized.
that if he had the chance to speak face to face, no middlemen, he would have approached Drake directly and cleared the air like a man. That moment showed a different side of him. He was evolving, reflecting, and trying to move forward in a more positive direction for himself and for his fans. But then everything stopped suddenly, and the space he left behind got filled with speculation instead of answers. Fast forward to the 2023 trial, and the old tension between X and Drake was brought up again, but not in the way people online think. Defense attorney Mauricio Padilla attempted to introduce the past disagreement as an alternative angle during the case. He even tried to bring Drake into the legal process, requesting a deposition, but that effort was blocked through legal channels. The defense also referenced that deleted Instagram post and mentioned individuals connected to Drake's circle as potential witnesses. They even attempted to bring in an expert to talk about possible connections and interpretations of certain actions or symbols. But in the end, the court didn't accept that direction. The judge ruled that those arguments were too speculative and not relevant, especially given the strong evidence already presented pointing to a robbery. The focus stayed on what could actually be proven. And here's the key point. Robert Allen, the same person now being talked about online, already testified under oath that Drake had absolutely nothing to do with the situation. That statement has been on record for years, and nothing has changed since. What a lot of people forget is that X had tension with multiple individuals in the industry during his rise. His journey came with a lot of public clashes, and the situation with Drake was only one part of a much bigger picture. Understanding that context matters because it shows how online theories can focus on one headline while ignoring everything else that was really going on around him. Take the Migos situation, for example. Back in November 2017, X claimed he was attacked outside a Los Angeles hotel. He went live on social media right after.
You kind of like inherited him and XXXTentacion's beef. Yeah,
because he was tripping, bro. That's what made me say something, because I love, like I got to meet his mom multiple times.
Showing marks on his face and explaining what went down. According to him, multiple people approached him at once and things got intense fast. He even said weapons were involved and that the situation turned physical. He shared clips and pointed out individuals he believed were connected, but Migos never fully confirmed or broke down the situation publicly. Still, moments like that show the kind of environment X was moving in at the time. It wasn't just online talk, it was real-life tension. And that wasn't the only situation. There was also his fallout with Ski Mask the Slump God, someone he was once close to. Years later, after everything had already happened, Ski spoke publicly and claimed there had been serious tension behind the scenes, even involving family concerns and strong disagreements. He also brought up how conflicts with other artists, like Trippie Redd, had escalated heavily online and created real pressure in the background. Then there's the Rob Stone situation. His name was linked to the 2017 incident where X was knocked unconscious during a performance in San Diego. That moment shocked fans and showed just how quickly things could turn serious in real time. Even outside of that, other artists were involved in tense exchanges too. 600 Breezy, a Chicago rapper associated with Drake's circle, spoke openly about past back-and-forth threats between him and X. He admitted that things nearly escalated further at one point. So when you really look at everything, it becomes clear. X had multiple conflicts across the industry, with different people, different crews, and different situations all happening at once. Focusing only on one name ignores how complex his environment really was. And when it comes to what actually happened, the facts point in a different direction. The individuals responsible were identified as local people who acted on opportunity.
Why would I throw away my life and career and for everybody else around me to get him killed? I'm gonna catch him and just gonna beat him up or something.
This wasn't some coordinated plan from far away. It was a robbery that turned into something tragic. The evidence showed they were not operating like professionals. They were posting online, showing off money, making careless moves, and leaving digital trails that led straight back to them. Investigators were able to piece everything together quickly because of those mistakes. That kind of behavior doesn't match some high-level plan. It shows a lack of planning and discipline. Even 600 Breezy addressed the online theories directly. He made it clear that risking an entire career over internet tension wouldn't make sense. He pointed out that if someone wanted to send a message, there are far less extreme ways things could play out. He also criticized how the individuals involved handled everything afterward, saying their actions showed they weren't experienced or organized at all. At the end of the day, when you step back and look at the full picture, it becomes obvious. The situation was shaped by multiple layers of tension, but the actual event came down to a reckless decision in the moment, not some larger coordinated plan people are trying to push online. Sometimes, the simplest explanation really is the one that fits the facts best, even if the internet keeps trying to turn it into something bigger. That's the question nobody pushing the Drake theory ever really answers. Why would someone at the very top of the music world risk everything like that? At the time, Drake was dominating globally. Huge catalog, massive influence, billions of streams, and a career at its peak. The idea that he would throw all of that away, his success, his reputation, his future, over a situation with a young artist who had already started to step back from the tension just doesn't add up when you really break it down. That kind of move doesn't fit someone at that level. From a real-world perspective, when situations get heated, they usually stay within certain limits. People handle things directly, or they let it fade out over time. What you don't see is some complicated high-risk plan that leaves behind evidence, witnesses, and a trail that can easily be traced. And that's exactly what happened here. The people involved left digital footprints, made careless moves, and drew attention to themselves almost immediately. That's not how something highly organized would look. It's the opposite. It shows poor planning and impulsive decisions. So where does that leave things now, here in April 2026? Because if Robert Allen hasn't made any new statements, and there's no verified new evidence involving Drake,
a defendant has every right to defend himself and to show reasonable doubt wherever it may be. Am I going to sit here and tell you that Drake was holding a gun or Drake? But the facts, as they are stated by X's own mother, is that she knew about the beef with Drake and with Migos.
Then why is this story suddenly trending again? The answer goes back to a legal development from late 2024 that got completely reshaped online. In November 2024, Dedrick Williams, who is serving a life sentence, filed an appeal through his legal team, arguing that his trial wasn't handled fairly. One of the key points in that appeal was about the limitations placed on introducing arguments related to the past tension involving Drake. His attorney, Mauricio Padilla, even spoke publicly about the appeal, explaining their position. That interview started gaining attention, and eventually, pieces of it began circulating online in a completely different way. Here's what often gets left out. Padilla never claimed that Drake was responsible for what happened. He didn't say Drake carried anything out, and he didn't claim that anyone was hired either. The entire argument was about legal strategy. It was about trying to introduce alternative possibilities in order to create reasonable doubt during the trial. That's a common approach in legal defense. It doesn't mean those claims are being presented as facts. And the appeal itself? It didn't contain any new statements, no new testimonies.
And the argument is that your client didn't get a fair shake, didn't get a fair trial because you couldn't expand upon this and introduce.
And no new evidence connecting Drake to the case. Everything referenced had already been discussed years earlier. Old social media posts, lyrics that fans had already analyzed, and previously known concerns brought up during the original investigation. Nothing new was added. And here's the most important update. As of February 12th, 2026, the Florida 4th District Court of Appeal reviewed the case and officially upheld Dedrick Williams' conviction and life sentence. The court found no errors that would justify overturning the outcome. That means the original decision stands fully. The appeal was denied, and no further updates on that specific filing have changed that outcome. So when you strip away all the viral headlines and online speculation, the legal system has already addressed this situation. The findings remain consistent with what was presented during the trial. And despite everything circulating online, there has been no new verified development connecting Drake to the incident in any official capacity. The case, as it stands today, has already been examined, reviewed, and confirmed through the legal process. Surveillance footage, phone records, social media posts showing off the stolen money, and testimony from Robert Allen himself. All of it points in the same direction. The four individuals involved, Williams, Boatwright, Newsom, and Allen, acted on their own. They spotted X at the motorcycle dealership, realized he had cash on him, and made a reckless decision right there. It was local, it was opportunistic, and it turned into a tragic situation. Now, yes, the tension between X and Drake was real. It got messy, it crossed lines, and it played out publicly for everyone to see. There were accusations, online moments, and a lot of noise that stuck with people over time. But here's the key part. None of that was ever connected to what happened through any verified evidence. Robert Allen stated clearly under oath that Drake had no involvement, and since his release, he hasn't said anything to change that. Not one statement, not one interview, nothing. The 2024 appeal, that was a last attempt from a legal standpoint, bringing up older arguments without introducing anything new. And in February 2026, the Florida 4th District Court of Appeals shut it down completely, confirming the original outcome. Williams, Boatwright, and Newsom are serving life sentences without parole. Robert Allen is out under supervised conditions and has remained publicly silent. But this whole situation shows something even bigger. It shows how fast social media can take a disagreement between artists and turn it into something much larger than reality. A storyline that keeps growing, even when the facts stay the same. It shows how, when something tragic happens, people start searching for deeper explanations. And sometimes those ideas take on a life of their own. And it shows how online platforms can amplify certain narratives, especially the ones that grab attention the fastest, even if they don't match what's actually been proven. XXXTentacion was a complex artist with a lot happening around him. He had public conflicts with multiple people, including Migos, Rob Stone, Trippie Redd, and even those he was once close to, like Ski Mask the Slump God. His rise came with pressure, tension, and moments that spilled beyond music. But in the months before everything changed, he was also trying to grow, reflect, and shift his direction for the better. That part of his story often gets overlooked. His passing left a space that has since been filled with years of theories, debates, and constant online discussion. And now it's on you, man. What do you think about everything that's come out over the years? Do you think the internet made this situation bigger than it really was? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with others who want the real story. And don't forget to check out more videos on your screen right now. See you on the next one.